and welcome back to my kitchen. I am doing something a little unusual for spring in that I am working with some of my leftover winter squash from last fall. And specifically what I'm talking about today is butternut squash. Now I have stored these literally all winter long, and what we have not used up over the winter, I feel this is a good point in time. I need to get them preserved and out of my storage area so that I can make way for this year's harvest that will be coming, in the fall again. And one of the, I feel, amazing things that I do with these butternut squash is to make pumpkin pie filling. Now, I'm sure that you're sitting there going, well, that's not a pumpkin. No, it's not. But did you know that the majority of the pumpkin pie filling that you buy canned in your store is actually made from squash? It's not really made from pumpkin. But this can be used either with pumpkin or with squash, all right, winter squash. Not summer squash, not your zucchini or your yellow summer squash. It has to be a winter squash, that gets this really hard casing on it. So today, I just want to share with you how I prepare and can pumpkin pie filling. So to begin with, of course, we pick our squash, we wash them up really good in the sink, and I just cut off the stem end and then cut them down the middle and scoop out that seed pocket. And I do try to remove as many of those stringy fibers as I can to get down to the good squash. And then what I do is I lay them down, cut side down, on an aluminum foil lined baking tray. And I have no oil, no nothing. I just put them cut side down on this aluminum, foil lined tray. And I put just a little bit of water. I just pour a little bit of water in there. And of course my baking tray or my cookie sheet, has little sides on it. And I put them in a 400-degree oven for approximately a half hour, or until you can pierce through the hard shells easily with a fork. And then I allow them to cool off just a little bit so that I can handle them. And I scoop out all of that wonderful cooked squash or pumpkin, if that's what you want to use, with a spoon. And that's what I have in my bowl right now. So my recipe, I will read to you at this point in time, and then we'll just go through all the steps together. My recipe for pumpkin pie filling is 6 cups of cooked and mashed pumpkin or squash, 2 cups of apple juice or apple cider. Now, I really want to clarify at this point in time, I'm talking apple juice or apple cider. I am not talking apple cider vinegar. Sometimes, we read these things and we hear them really quickly and we just make assumptions. I'm not talking vinegar. I'm talking apple juice or apple cider, okay? 2 cups of that. 2 cups of packed brown sugar, 4 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ginger, 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, and 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So you have your cooked squash. I'll aim you down here. You have your baked or your cooked squash. And, the reason why I really love doing it this way is because a lot of recipes call for you to peel the pumpkin or the squash. And I'm telling you guys, that's hard on your hands. These things are hard to cut, even for a 25, 30-year-old person, all right? So some of us that are a little bit older than that, these things are really hard to cut and they're very difficult to peel. So the easy way to do it is put it into your oven and bake it and then scoop out all of that good cooked squash. So easy on your hands, no effort at all. So we have 6 cups of our baked squash in our pan. And just take your electric mixer, or if you want to, you can mash it by hand. But I just take an electric mixer and I just kind of mash it up really good. And this is still, hot. Well, not hot, but kind of warm from the oven. All right, and then what we are going to do is we are going to add our 2 cups of apple juice or apple cider. Now remember, this is not vinegar. This is just juice. All right, and our 2 cups, let me get rid of this, our 2 cups of packed brown sugar. And if you prefer, if you make your own brown sugar, you can just put in 2 cups of white sugar and 2 tablespoons of molasses. That is a really quick and easy cheat on brown sugar. But I just happen to have some brown sugar on hand today, so that's what I'm using. 2 cups of brown sugar. And then we're going to add 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. Sorry, that took over on me. All right, and let's see without my glasses if I can figure out what's what. There we go, teaspoon. 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. Two teaspoons of ginger. 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. And 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my mixer again and just get this mixed up super well. And after I'm done doing that, I will come back with my jars and I will show you how to process these. All right, so I have my mixture really, really well mixed and emulsified, all right? And this is where the beauty comes in. Because we have added acidity in the apple juice or the apple cider, and we have also added sugar in the brown sugar, this makes the pH level to a point where you can process this pumpkin at a much shorter time than just plain pumpkin or plain squash. We all know that when you're canning plain pumpkin or plain squash, they usually recommend that you cut it into cubes and can it with water, and it's a super long process time. But because we have added these additional ingredients, and remember, this is pumpkin pie filling, this is sweet, it is extremely safe for a short process time. So what we are going to do now is we are simply going to ladle our pumpkin pie filling into pint-sized jars. And I do only can this in pint-sized jars, okay? So I'm not going to give you times for anything larger than a pint-sized jar. But you ladle that filling into your pint-sized jar to approximately 1 or a 1/2 inch headspace. I feel a little bit safer at 1 inch headspace, and that ends up at the very bottom of your the threads on your jar. And of course, there's always this little glass lip on your canning jars. That's where I like to fill mine to 1 inch headspace. You can go as short as 1/2 inch headspace on this. That's fine, but I do prefer to do 1 inch. So I will just complete filling my jars here. We should get 4 to 5 pints off of this recipe. And I am just tapping it. Hopefully my camera is aimed down well enough here so that you can can all see. I am just tapping it to remove any possible air bubbles because it is a thicker product. All right, I had to run and get a clean laundered washcloth. As all other canning things, just take and wipe the rims with a clean laundered washcloth. I just use water on my washcloth. I never use vinegar. I've never felt the need. It's just what I do. Just water on my washcloth and wipe those rims. And then place your flat end lid. Now, most modern flat end lids, you'll want to do fingertip tight. I'm using my Superb lids again today, and my Superb lids, I just like to tighten just to the very first signs of resistance. So I put my jars into the canner a little bit looser, and then after removing them from the canner, I do snug them up just a little bit. But that is solely with the Superb lids. With any other lid, whether it's the 4 jars, Ball, Kerr, County Fair, anything, you want to put them on fingertip tight. But with the Superb lids, I do only go to the very first signs of resistance. Now, another thing that I want to mention to you at this point in time is always match the temperature of your food item and jar to the temperature of your canner. Now, when you have baked the squash and allowed it to cool off just a little bit so that you could hold it in your hands again in order to scoop out all of that good cooked squash, it may have cooled off quite a bit. So make sure that if your squash is still hot, you start with a hot canner. If your squash has completely cooled, you start with a cool canner. If it's still kind of warm, you start with a warm canner. And the magic of this, and like I said, because the safety factor is so high with the added apple juice or apple cider and the brown sugar, the process time is only 1 hour hot water bath or steam can or 30 minutes in your PC. All right, and this is for pint-sized jars. I'm going to use my pressure canner as a steam canner today. I'm going to be steam canning these or hot water bathing for 1 hour. So my prepared jar goes into the canner, and I'm going to finish putting on my lids and get the rest of them in there. All right, I'm going to place my lid. Turn on my stove to medium heat. And I'm going to slowly bring this up to a vent. Once it reaches a full vent, and a full vent to me is when this pressure valve lid lock button pops up, the emergency button back here has popped up. When it reaches a full vent and steam is only coming from the weight pipe stem, that's when I start timing for the process time of 1 hour. So I'm going to bring this up to a full vent and vent for 1 hour. And I will be back when that is complete. Okay guys, so I have my pumpkin pie filling in the canner and it is starting its the steam canning session of 1 hour. In the meantime, I would like to share my recipe for Impossible Pumpkin Pie with all of you. I have been making and canning this pumpkin pie filling for years. I want to show you how long it can be shelf stable. I would also like to share my easy recipe for how to make a pie in seconds. Now, in the month of April, Amber May, who is the founder of the group Snug on Facebook, she devoted the month of April to Bisquick recipes, and specifically homemade Bisquick mix. Now, in my last video, I shared how to make homemade Bisquick mix, and we will share the recipe down in the description of this video also. But I have been making an Impossible Pumpkin Pie for years, and I would just kind of like to share this with you as kind of an addition to all of Amber's wonderful recipes using Bisquick. And it uses your homemade pumpkin pie filling. You can use your own home canned milk and your homemade Bisquick mix. And I'm just super excited to finally be able to share this with somebody because I've been doing this for years. It's so quick and easy, you guys. All right, so Lori's Impossible Pumpkin Pie. You will need 1 pint of pumpkin pie filling, and that is seasoned and sweetened, just like we're doing today. 2 eggs, 1 can of evaporated milk, or 1 pint of your own home canned milk or cream. 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 1/2 cup of Bisquick mix. All right, and as easy as this is, well, we'll get started in a second. First of all, let's talk about home canned milk. I'm going to try to get this up close to the camera so that you can see, and of course I never know which direction to go. This is home canned milk from October of 2020, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Yep. You guys, I am nothing if not real. This is dust from sitting on my shelf for 4 years. Completely sealed. I am not afraid to pick this thing up just by the lid only and even shake it around. And this is, now I did this on dark blue painter's tape, so I hope that you're able to read it. But this is my home canned pumpkin pie filling, also from 2020. And hopefully, yep. We all have dirty houses. I happen to live on a gravel road, okay? There's a lot of dust. Really, honestly. But, I mean, look at this, you guys. Seriously. This is a can of pumpkin pie filling in the way that I'm sharing how I do it. 4 years old. Literally 4 years old. Look at the dust on that thing. And this also is completely sealed. I am not afraid to just pick this up by the lid and shake it around. Yeah, totally shelf stable, totally safe. All right, so now let's get down to business, shall we? After Lauren messes around with her dust. Anyway, so for Lori's Impossible Pumpkin Pie, we're going to put 2 eggs into our blender. We are going to put a can of evaporated milk, which is about 15 ounces, or one of your own home canned pints of milk or cream. And yes, I am shaking it up to reincorporate all the cream that kind of separated out on the top of it before I open it. Hopefully, let's see if I can move things around here. There, you can see me opening it up. Yep, I heard the seal. And we, of course, are going to give it the sniff test. Oh, wonderful. I'm going to pour that whole pint of milk in there. And then we are going to go ahead and open up this dusty can of pumpkin pie filling. Wonderful. And we're going to give that a sniff. Oh, it smells so good, you guys. I don't know if I got a spoon that'll fit in there. Oh, I do. We're going to add that whole pint of pumpkin pie filling to our blender. Fantastic. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And of course, do that with your heart. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons of butter. Yep, that looks like a couple of tablespoons. Get some of these things out of my way. And then we are going to add 1/2 cup of homemade or store purchased, if you would prefer. You know, it doesn't matter. 1/2 cup of Bisquick. Mine is homemade. I use a mixture of 50-50 whole wheat and white flour. And I do have 1/4 cup measurement, so I'm going to put 2 of those in to reach my 1/2 cup measurement today. Beautiful. And guess what? We are just going to buzz this up. I wonder if I remembered my lid for the blender. Oh, you guys, I think I got to run and get my lid. I'll be right back. All right, so I have my lid, and we are just going to blend this for about 1 minute or until everything is really well incorporated, okay? I'm going to pulse it just a little bit to start. All right, honestly, that didn't even take a full minute. All right, so in a prepared pie pan, and I have just sprayed with non-stick cooking spray, and I've covered my cookie sheet. Let me tip up here. I've covered my cookie tray with tin foil, and I've even, I've got kind of a large pie plate, and just to reduce the risk of like runoff into my oven, just in case anything happens, I put tin foil both ways, just to literally catch any drips or run over that happens. But spray your pie plate, whether it's glass or tin, with non-stick spray. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Look at that, you guys. I even have to refer to my own recipes. I don't always remember things. 350 degree oven, and you are literally just going to pour that wonderful pumpkin pie filling right into that pie pan. No tricks, no time, no effort. And this pie is going to magically create its own bottom crust as it cooks. We're going to pop this into a 350 degree oven for 1 hour. Alrighty, so I'll be back with the results of the steam canned pumpkin. I should specify pumpkin pie filling. I need to get a I need to get a towel. I don't know if you can see. This is a very common thing to happen to Prestos. There's a lot of cooling water, and it's still steaming out of that lid lock button. So I will just take a towel, wipe that off, and there it pops right up. No problem at all. And so now I can start my 1 hour process time for steam canning. And in the meantime, I am baking an impossible pumpkin pie. I'll show you both results in 1 hour. All right, so my steam canning session and my pie baking kind of came out at the same time for 1 hour. Look at how absolutely beautiful this is. You guys, it smells amazing. Cook that at 350 degrees for 1 hour or until a knife inserted in the center comes out clean. That means, nothing obviously is sticking to it. I'm going to allow this to cool, and then I'm going to dish up a piece and kind of show you the results. So I will be back when this is cooled off. All right, so I got through my 1 hour steam canning session, and I allowed, my lid lock vent valve to drop down, and then I unlocked my canner and allowed it to cool about 10 more minutes, and then I just cracked it open ever so slightly and allowed at least another 10 or 15 minutes, and then I moved it back to this point in time that you can see, moved it again just a little bit more, and allowed more cool off time. Now, it's still really hot, but I feel it is safe to remove the lid at this point in time. And I will show you these amazing jars of pumpkin pie filling. And here we are. And you witnessed an older jar from my shelf at 4 years storage time. You guys, this is amazing. It is amazing for pumpkin pie, pumpkin bars, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin pancakes, anything really that you can think of where a sweet pumpkin is needed. Sweet and spice, because you have your cinnamon and your nutmeg and ginger in there. This is just ready to use for so many sweet goodies. All right, so my beautiful impossible pumpkin pie is cool, guys. It's all cooled off. What I do is I just take a little knife and I run it all the way around the edge of the pie plate. And then cut your pieces, just like you would any other pie. All right. And then serve yourself up a nice little piece of this impossible pumpkin pie. Look at that. How beautiful. Now I definitely will admit that I do need some whipped cream on top of this, but I don't have any tonight. But you know what? I love pumpkin pie so much that, to me, really doesn't matter. I prefer to have a little whipped cream, but you guys, I'm telling you, this is a good thing. Right? Oh my goodness. So very, very good. It's sweet, but not too sweet. There's the cinnamon. I'm just going to take another bite. Cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger. And no creating and rolling out a crust. It just kind of makes its own and holds together. You guys, this is seriously a complete dessert with zero effort in 1 hour. I'm just going to sit here and eat the whole thing. Oh my gosh. If you are a fan of pumpkin pie, if you are a fan of zero effort, try this. I swear, I've been doing this for years. It's always amazing. So very, very good. The only thing that would make that better is some whipped cream. Seriously. But anyway, so now now you have the whole thing. How I make my pumpkin pie filling and can it. Short time. You know, you've got that apple juice or apple cider and the added sugar. Just an hour process by the hot water bath canner, or only 30 minutes by the PC. I always only do this in pint size, which pint size is perfect for pie, for muffins, for pancakes, for pumpkin bars, for pumpkin cake. It is more than enough for what you need for any recipe you can think of, honestly. Any sweet recipe. And then my impossible pie recipe. You guys, honestly, it's a thing of beauty. I'm so happy I could share it with you. Thank you for spending your time with me again today. God bless you all. And happy canning, everybody.